Hey everybody, welcome into Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host Expat along with my co-host Burley. Burley is on the bridge with me for this episode as we talk about Star Trek Strange New World Season 2, Episode 1, titled The Broken Circle. Obviously, this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion review of the episode. So if you have not watched the episode yet, please turn away. Go to Paramount Plus and watch the episode and then come back and enjoy this video because there's going to be spoilers throughout as we discuss the episode. So Burley, you ready to talk about The Broken Circle? You ready to talk about episode 1 of season 2?
Oh yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I've got the slideshow here. I've got a lot of images from the episode. So let's go ahead and get into these here. So obviously we have the first part of the episode, Pike talking with Una. And of course, Una from, season 1. Like I said, if you haven't watched season 1, please turn away. But anyway, that's your spoiler warning. So at the end of season 1, she was taken away because, she's an Illyrian. And she modified her genetics, and which is forbidden by the Federation. So yeah, she supposedly is in this holding cell here, and Pike is talking to her, and talking about we're going to fight this, and we're going to take it public, and obviously she's kind of reluctant in the beginning, but I don't know. What did you think of this scene, Burley?
I like this. It was nice because you were wondering, when are these two going to be able to chat and communicate? Like how far into the season are we going to get this? Yeah. They started right off at the beginning of the first episode of this season, and I like the banter between them both. Pike is like, no, we're going to fight this. We're going to get you out and win. She's like, no, let me just accept my fate.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the thing, and he's like, no, I don't accept it. And she's like, you're always. She had to get the line from the first season. You're always the Boy Scout.
Yeah, and I like after they logged out with each other, and he's like turning away, and the typical Pike, facial gesture, and then the twitch of his neck. He's like this.
Yep.
So I love that part. Yeah, I love how he does that during the season and all. All right, so yeah, that was pretty cool. And then, obviously, in the next image we get here, of course, we get, Pike and Spock. And Spock's going to take over because, obviously, Pike's going to take off for 3 days to go and meet with, the other captain that he has a relationship with that's probably going to be, in episode 2, going to be a part of the trial. And I just want to add, episode 2 is titled Ad Astra per Aspera, which basically in Latin means through hardships to the stars. So yeah, I mean, it's basically going to be about Una's trial. But so Spock is, I'm going to take over the ship. And Pike is like, hey, you don't even have to leave space dock. Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, it's always good to see them, and you can tell Spock is a little different in this season, but we're gonna get the reason why in like a minute or two.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course, M'Benga tries to calm down Spock and gives him the musical instrument here, and he starts playing it. And that was funny. It's like his heart rate starts going down, but then guess who walks into the room? That was really cool. Yeah, it's like Nurse Chapel. She comes into the room, and then his heart rate just explodes. That was so funny. And then M'Benga, he's like smiling and everything after Spock leaves, and she's basically like, just don't.
Well, he knows he's not stupid, but I love the conversation with him and Spock at first, because Spock is like, you Vulcans have these blocks for all your emotions. Yours are all broken. And Spock's like, basically, okay, how do we get this rebuilt in me? You don't. Just try being human. Be like a human, let them out.
Right.
And Spock is like, I do not accept this.
Yeah. So and she talks about going on this like applying for this kind of like a fellowship where she would go to Vulcan for a couple of months for like an
two,
archaeological
2 months.
2 months. Yeah, and you know, Mbanga is like, I'm gonna have to replace you, aren't I? And she's like, you're not gonna get rid of me that easily. So yeah, I like that part. That was really cool. So yeah, good old Nurse Chapel. So anyway, and then of course we get Uhura. Now she is an ensign. She has graduated from the academy and she's back on the Enterprise, and they're having like these inspections at Starbase One. And I just love how she was like brushing off the guy that was trying to take over the communications panel there, and she's like, I'll start a second communications, array or whatever. And he's like, we're in space dock, it'll only take 10 minutes. And she's like, hell no. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So
I like seeing her back and her just not the guy that's just there trying to do his job, and she's like, nope, you ain't doing this.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So yeah. And then, of course, we get the distress call, and that's why, of course, Uhura goes to report to Spock. And there was a distress call from La'an. And so basically, La'an is on a mining colony called Kajitar 4, and Kajitar 4 is right on the border of Klingon space. And obviously, we get the backstory of the war with the Klingons. And of course, now, there's peace, but on this, planet that is mining dilithium, it's like they have like 1 month shifts, 1 month shifts between the Klingons and then 1 month with the Federation, and they can't intersect each other or the war would start up again, basically. But Spock wants to go, and because La'an is, talking in the distress call about medical supplies, as well as there's some fishy things going on over there with what's going on Kajitar 4, and of course Admiral April's not having any of it. He's like, request denied, you're gonna stay here. What'd you think of this part?
Oh yeah, this is typical Admiral. No, we don't want to get involved, we want to do nothing. We'll wait for our shift, and then we'll take a look.
Yeah.
And you could just tell with Spock, it's just hitting that nerve of like, okay, we're going to go. Yeah.
Now, in this image here, this gave me vibes of Star Trek 3. Remember when they have to steal the Enterprise and they have to leave space dock to go, the search for Spock? And, and then the Excelsior is gonna chase them, but then Scotty messes with the engines and all. This gave me the vibes of Star Trek 3 because Kirk and all the crew, the bridge crew and all in the movies, they're like in the same situation here where Spock is like, hey, if any of you are against this and want to report this, I won't hold it against you. Basically just how Kirk was doing in Star Trek 3 with them. We're gonna do this. If you don't want to do it, I won't hold it against you. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, obviously they're gonna do this, and then of course they try to play with the warp core and everything to simulate a warp core breach, and then obviously we get Carol Kane. And she's all over this, man. She knows what's going on. What did you think of her introduction? Obviously, she's going to become the chief engineer in this season. But what did you think of her character and how she was introduced here, Burley?
Oh, I love this, and I loved the energy she brought to this role in this, and just her going, and she immediately knew what was up, and calls them out. She's like, so if you think it is right, we must do it. Then we must go. I love that with her banter with Spock. It was just so great. You can even see on Spock's face, he's like, "You're agreeing with me?
Yeah,
you're allowing me to do this? Okay, let's just go."
Yeah. And her race of people she's not the same race as Guinan. I think. But I mean, they're similar in the fact that they live for hundreds and hundreds. They've lived for many, 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 many centuries, I think. And she was talking about, the engines, the last time I had an engine to myself was over 100 years ago. And then, of course, Ortega, she's like, 100 years? And she's like, yeah. So, but then it's like Uhura. Right. Go ahead, Burley. Yeah.
She also makes a line about knowing Spock's mother.
Yeah, exactly. Knowing, her mother. And he was so surprised at that too. But then Uhura, she recognized her, her accent. And it's interesting, we'll talk about later that, her race of people basically were living amongst humans on Earth, and they weren't really detected until like the 22nd century, so that was pretty interesting. So, but she's got him. But so, and then of course Spock here with the typical line, what are you gonna say? Punch it, hit it, and Spock is like, I want the ship to go now.
Yeah, he did not have a good line there.
Yeah, and it's like as their flight ad, they're like, aye, aye, Captain. That was really funny. So good old Spock, man. Yeah. And then here's La'an. I love this part. Obviously, the blood wine challenges and stuff. And, she's, just drinking this guy down. And the Klingon, he's like, he's got the blood wine flowing into his beard. And she's like, razzing him, saying, don't put half of the blood wine in your beard. And then, of course, he goes and, pukes it somewhere. And she wins. But obviously, M'Benga meets her. And then, of course, they talk and they find out exactly what she's doing there. And they find out that there's this faction of ex-Federation and Klingon that basically want to start the war up again because of the profit that they could make off of it, of the dilithium and everything. So what did you think of this part?
This was not so surprising that the Klingons they were up to no good, because this is still before 10 years before Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
So you remember what the Klingons were like in the original series. This will not surprise you once.
Yeah. Well, actually, in this season, we're going to get more of Kirk. He's going to be, Paul Wesley's going to be Kirk in a recurring role. So, it's a little less than 10 years now before the 5-year mission, I think, with Kirk and Spock. But anyway, so La'an, basically, she is on this planet because of Oriana, the little girl that was in episode 9 of season 1. That was, of course, the Gorn episode, and obviously she had taken a leave from Starfleet to go and try to find Oriana's parents, and she found them over here on Kajitar 4. But unfortunately, it looked like her mother was badly injured because of a photon torpedo impact, because obviously they're trying to get this, this group is trying to get Federation tech to get together to stage kind of a false flag plan to try to restart the war between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. And I mean, it's interesting. We get to see Oriana again, and obviously La'an is there because of her. So that was pretty cool. She's the investigator supreme, basically. And then of course M'Benga here and Nurse Chapel, of course, giving medical aid to Oriana's parents. And then of course this syndicate, obviously they see them with the medical tech and basically take them by, phaser point, or laser point, or whatever you want to call it. And they're like, you're coming with us, you're going to help us with our wounded. So what'd you think, Burley, about these scenes?
Not surprised they were going to get captured. As soon as you start working, like they tried to kind of be discreet, but it was like, I love that the Klingons just basically ambush them and be like, you're healing our wounded. You can't say no.
Yeah, you can't say no. And I want to ask you, what do you think of the makeup in this season and in Star Trek Strange New Worlds when it comes to the Klingons? Because obviously they look different from Worf and from like the Next Generation era of Klingon. What did you think of the makeup here?
I think it's not bad. I think they're trying to kind of like a hybrid of a little bit of what the 60s, the original series are, and kind of like next gen. Mm-hmm. I like these Klingons. I think it's very well done. It's better than Discovery season 1, where they look like orcs.
Yeah. So anyway, in this image here, obviously they're putting together an old Starfleet Federation ship here, and they've got tons of photon torpedoes. Obviously, the burns from the photon torpedo explosions and everything. So I mean, they're getting ready for this false flag operation here. So it's funny. M'Benga and Nurse Chapel, obviously, they have to go there into this ship to treat the wounded and everything. And as we're coming up here, we got this image here. I mean, this is right before. I'm going to say it here. They take the Hulk serum, but they don't turn into a Hulk. But I mean, it's like the Berserker serum or whatever it was, the green serum or whatever that turned them into like berserkers. And just I don't know, that this is the only part of the episode I was kind of like, because I mean, there's like 20-30 Klingons coming at him and they just take them, wipe them all out.
Yeah, that was just like, okay, like you're really trying to stretch my suspension of disbelief there. That was just like, you know what? You could have made a good scenario of them taking on these amount of Klingons. Do it with traps and stuff like that. Them setting traps and stuff like that. You doing that and outsmarting and knowing how the Klingons think,
right?
And, trapping them that way and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I can buy that.
Yeah.
This just was like, okay, this is like we're kind of written in a corner. How do we get ourselves out of it?
Yeah, and so then they had to try to send a message to the Enterprise, and then of course they trapped themselves, in the basically the bay that they're going to get extracted from the ship, sucked out into space. And they find like a kind of, what was it, like a vest that had like a kind of like a jetpack or so on it, but then there was a helmet that could be like a beacon, so that the Enterprise could find that beacon and be able to transport them back onto the Enterprise. But obviously they're going to freeze to death, and M'Benga's like, oh, we have a minute before we'll freeze to death, and we'll pass out after about 15 seconds, but I'll be able to get us away before they hopefully destroy the ship. So, yeah. So anyway, we go on here, and this was really cool. I really loved the chase scene here. And then this, they called it a crossfield class of starship, which is really interesting because supposedly there were only 2 crossfield starships created by the Federation, actually. And I think the crossfield ships were named after Scott Crossfield, who was, of course, an American naval test pilot. So I could be wrong there, but I think that's why they called it the Crossfield class. But anyway, so what did you think of the chase scene here, Burley? And of course, the Enterprise took some minor damage, but I thought it was pretty cool cinematography here. What'd you think?
Yeah, the cinematography was good, and I love the little lines as they're doing the chase. Oh man, I just got the paint on here. You're scuffing the paint here.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So they get the chase, and then obviously Spock, he's got to make a decision because you got that the Klingon attack cruiser there, and now the Crossfield class ship is in sensor range, and so if they detect them, of course that's going to start the war again, and Spock's got to basically make this decision, but he knows that M'Benga and Nurse Chapel are still on this ship, So he's trying to give them as much time as he can before they have to destroy it. What did you think, Burley?
I really like this because it shows you he's voting, like he's going with the logical side of him, but also the emotional side.
Yeah.
He is waiting as long as he can because he cares, especially for Nurse Chapel.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And then obviously here, this is right after he, gives the order to destroy the ship, and it's destroyed and all. And but they're able to, transport them back. And of course, Nurse Chapel is here all frozen, and you think she's dead. And Spock comes in and he's just like freaking out. And so, I mean, this is going to be interesting how the season progresses, the relationship between how the relationship grows between Nurse Chapel and Spock here. And you can see in Spock, I mean, he's no longer, his human half is just completely taken over now. I mean, the emotions have just overwhelmed him here. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, and I think it was very well done because they set it up at the beginning of the episode, and it pays off, and you see it more and more as the episode goes through. But here, because if you spoiler alert, if you did watch season 1, they had their kiss and all that from in season 1, so their fault. He cares for her a lot, and with his emotional guards broken down, it just lets it all falls out. And you see that sigh of relief when she opens her eyes and all that, and he's like,
right. And T'Pring is going to be in season 2 as well, so it'll be interesting to see where that relationship goes as well. So, and then of course we get the Klingon captain here, and he's thinking that they just destroyed the ship to cover their own tracks and all, and so Spock, it's interesting. He's like, because the Klingon captain says, I only trust somebody when they look me in the eye and tell me. And so Spock is like, okay, well, let's get together and have some blood wine. And then the Klingon captain's like, this is something I have to see.
well, I love it. And one of the lines, he's like, Spock tries, like, I'm a Vulcan. We are known not to lie. I don't care what you say about Vulcans and all that.
Yeah. And then, of course, back, on the mining planet again, of course, we get Carol Kane again here, and she was like saying, it's just so boring. The teaching at the academy is so boring. I want to be on your ship. I really want this Enterprise. This is so interesting to me. I thought this was cool. What'd you think, Burley?
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to see, like I love her reaction, all that. I cannot wait to see what she does for the rest of the season and how her reactions to future situations we're going to get.
Yeah. And of course, it seems like everything is made up, it's like they're drinking the blood wine and all. And then, of course, Spock being emotional back in sickbay here, but Nurse Chapel's going to recover. And then at the end here, obviously, after Spock gets the lecture by Admiral April, and Admiral April's pretty lenient with him, though. He's like, just that hangover from the blood wine, that's your punishment. But if you do it again, you're gone.
Yeah.
And then at the end here, obviously, Gorn attack ship. Yes. Probable object identification. So we're getting more of the Gorn this season. I mean, they were talking, as Admiral April was talking, a battle on 2 fronts, possibly, hopefully not another war with the Klingons, but then we're probably quite possibly going to be going to war with the Gorn. What did you think of the final image here?
I like this. This was like, ooh, alrighty. So we're not done with the Gorn, because remember, we had that episode in the first season with them.
Yes.
That was such a damn good episode. Like
episode 9. Yeah.
Episode 9. It was, and it made the Gorn scary again and all that. So I cannot wait to see what we get with them.
Yeah, and those were just baby Gorn, and then just not even a mature Gorn. I mean, what La'an was saying in that episode, in episode 9 of last season, she's like, "There's no way we'd have a chance against a fully grown Gorn." It's so that'll be interesting.
That's why you need James T. Kirk.
Yeah. But it's gonna be awesome, to see the Gorn again in this season, and a great episode to begin the season. Really excited for the next episode, which will be Una's trial. So it'll kind of be kind of a slower episode pace, I think, than the first episode here, because we had a lot of action in this first episode. It was really, really good, but excited for it nonetheless. So yeah, Burley, yeah, great first episode.
Oh yeah, this was a great way to start the season. I'm hooked. They kept the quality from season 1, so I really cannot wait to see what we get in the rest of the season.
Yes. So if you like this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe and the notification bell for when we drop another episode of Warp Factor 10, as well as all of our other content here on the Arena Productions. And we thank you so much for your support. We look forward to bringing you any kind of sneak peek images that are going to be coming up for episode 2. And then, of course, our review episode for episode 2 will be, of course, next week as well, after the episode airs on Paramount Plus. So anyway, I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley, Burlerman Gaming. We hope to catch you in the next one. So live long and prosper, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.